Today on the Topping Show, Jack Black endorses Joe Biden in a viral video. Biden says we can't do anything if he chooses to become tyrannical because an AR-15 is useless, according to him. A Ford diesel truck with no emissions is okay for the U.S. Air Force, but not okay for you and I. Biden freezes on stage with Obama and has to have him guided off. Another truck does a burnout on a pride mural. WNBA is still on track to lose $50 million. McDonald's to temporarily halt their testing of AI ordering technologies. Nissan Z Heritage debuts with a 6-shift option. And Toyota recalls about 13,000 Crown vehicles. All of that and much, much more on The Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see the founder released twice today. Guys, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have McDonald's to temporarily stop testing AI ordering through their drive-thru technologies, which is quite interesting since the competition is already testing and they're not stopping. A couple months ago, we talked about how Wendy's is increasing their AI drive-thru technologies, and it's able to complete orders faster and more accurately than the traditional intercom where you have someone on the other side who, let's be honest, here's about 10% of what you're saying. I don't know what manufacturer speakers they use or intercom or microphone systems they use, but it's like technology from the 50s would have been better than what they've been using lately for drive-thru technologies. Now, this is brought to us thanks to an article in The Verge by Wes Davis, who specifically says, quote, company is looking for other partners for the AI chat-based ordering system technologies. Now, they say, quote, the company will reportedly remove the tech from over 100 restaurants it's been testing the system after partnering with IBM in 2021. Well, a little dark humor, let's hope that they were not asking the customers their religious orientation or their religious affiliations. One of my favorite, most complex and dark books out there is Edwin Black. He wrote a book called IBM and the Holocaust, which, yeah, their punch card technology was used to organize and execute pretty much everything of the Third Reich. From the numbers on their inmates from the Jewish people's arms, logistics of the trains, make sure they're running. Very dark, complex read. I recommend it if you're a little bit of a book nerd or historian. Definitely recommend that book. Now, it'll be interesting to see what kind of future partnerships they go with, and of course, they want to use even more AI built into it to incorporate more predictive analytics. And I don't think the average consumer will necessarily care. I think as long as you can get that order accurate, that's going to be the top priority. And again, I'm not sure what brand microphone they use or what speaker systems they've been using in fast food the past couple of decades, but it almost is nearly a 100% guarantee. There are very few guarantees in life, but the odds that your order will be wrong at a fast food drive-thru is nearly 100%. It's awful, which inevitably means you have to, depending on your dietary restrictions or preferences, you might have to have them go back to the kitchen and microwave it again or microwave something else. It's just enough. And then, of course, the restaurant employees aren't happy. So it's not really great for anyone. It just makes everyone more frustrated. So it'll be interesting to see what is the top AI technology that beats out the competition in this regard. Do we find, does one kind of pull ahead from the competition? They're just adopted by all major fast food restaurants. And do consumers care? Yeah, I personally don't think most people have a preference in terms of talking to a robot versus talking to an actual person. I mean, shoot, these days, some robots are more polite than some people I meet, granted. But let me know in the comments if you have a personal preference, if that'd be like a hard no, like you never want that type of experience. Let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have the Nissan Z Heritage edition to come in at $60,000 and become a Datsun throwback. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Adrian Padanu, who is a writer over at motor1.com. And that does look amazing. Now they note that it honors the original Datsun 240Z, which launched in 1969, which, again, I'm kicking myself for not buying all these fun cars back in the day. Granted, I didn't have much money growing up, but there's a time where you can get those old Japanese cars for like a couple $1,000s. No, like a lot of old things that weren't appreciated in the time. And now they're all, I mean, it's hard to find any cheap car these days, but now they're highly collectible. So everyone is trying to kind of scoop those up. So gone are the days of the, cheap cars you'd find on Craigslist. And truth be told, the styling is pretty darn cool. They changed a couple of body panels, so it looks more retro. particularly one they have in this photo op. It looks like a nice, looks like a bright orange. A couple extra pieces of vinyl that slapped on there. Now, going down a little bit more, they say that at long last, the retro flavored Z is coming to America. It debuted in January 2022 at the Toyota Auto Salon as the Fairlady Z customized proto. Then the production model came along in mid 2023 as a Fairlady Z customized edition for Japan. Now the US gets the special edition dubbed the Z Heritage Edition. It celebrates 55 years since the Datsun 240Z came out, which, gosh, those things are so cool. I had one friend growing up back in the day where his dad had a nice white one in the garage. And of course, it had a stick shift, as all cars should have by default. And it just looks so. It was the most unique thing in the neighborhood because no one, again, I was in the Midwest. That was the only time I ever saw one. The only other time perhaps being like a car show. And even then, they were still pretty rare in our area in the United States. And think about the angularity of those old Datsuns, it looks so unique. Now, they say that mimicking the S30 generation sports car introduced in 1969, the limited run coupe has an exclusive sight orange paint. Nissan combines the striking hue with a black decal on the hood that extends on the roof and trunk lid. There are also some stickers running along the sides, plus a Heritage Edition logo, and around the Z emblems of the rear fenders. At the front, the split grille design takes after the original Z, which I thought the grill looked a little bit different. Of course, the rear looks a lot better than the stock one as well. They say, oh, a little bit there. So picture below, the equivalent Japanese model looks cooler with a retro flavored Fairlady Z badge in the upper grille and the rear spoiler to reflect the official JDM name. The sublow flare extensions have been added to the American version, which also gets the same 19-inch wheels finished in black. Which, yeah, that rear looks really good for a Nissan. They did a pretty good job on that one. A little bit more angular. They say in the US, the Heritage Edition is based on the Z Performance trim level and offers a choice between a 6-speed manual transmission. I mean, they should stop. That should just be a period. For this type of car, that is what you want. It still breaks. And again, this is coming off the news that the Nissan GTR Godzilla is going to be end of production this calendar or fiscal year. And that always came with an automatic only, which is sad for the enthusiasts like myself. I understand the advantages of automatic is faster. Well, I would also argue it's also faster to just put a steak in the microwave versus grill it, but I partially digress. So this one does come with a 6-speed manual, or if you feel like you want to be dead inside a little bit, just to me, it does come with the option of a 9-speed automatic transmission. Nissan wants $60,275 after factoring in destination and handling charges, which means you'll pay a $6,165 premium over the regular Z Performance. Add on another $6,000 or so, and you'll get behind the wheel of a $66,890 Z Nismo with the range topper and automatic only, which is the most disappointing thing ever. They had the Nismo. I think the Nismo debuted last year, which is similar to like Chevrolet, how Chevrolet used to make performance cars. They used to have the Chevy SS, the trim level for the top performance trim of those vehicles, like the, you got the Camaro SS beam, the Chevrolet SS. There's a long heritage of that. But the Nissan one, the Nismo, which again, the 350Z, the old and 370Z, the old predecessors of this vehicle line, those do come with stick shifts for the top, Nismo performance package. And this one, it had slightly better brakes, lots of pieces of plastic bolted onto it. Oh, let's be honest, 3M tape. They do quality product with 3M, but it was automatic only. So a lot of the track enthusiasts were pretty disappointed when it came to the Nissan 400Z Nismo. Because again, for the track enthusiasts, which again, I know not everyone's going to track these, which is kind of heartbreaking for the engineering team to think that some of these are probably just going to be thrown in a garage with some tape, or not tape, some little car cover over it so that it'll be as an investment, which, again, very few cars historically speaking have ever beat the S&P 500. And again, it's not investment advice, but it is, I understand historic preservation, but maybe have one or two where you have like 1 mile and put them in a museum, maybe, but to me, it's kind of sad when you see all these cars where they have like no miles and it's just treated as, maybe it'll make me money someday, which, again, very few cars have, historically speaking. Now, they also say that Nissan doesn't say how many cars it plans to make, but we do know that the Z Heritage Edition has limited production and is available strictly for the 2024 model year. Through the first quarter, Z sales in the US increased by 44% to 671 units. It comfortably beat the Toyota Supra 484 cars, which suffered a 44.4% decline, which, yeah, that's pretty good for the Z to have that big of an increase in sales. That's a pretty good sales bump. And yeah, I don't know if you can really compare it to a Supra. To me, it kind of puts in a different category. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments on that. You got a couple more pictures of it. Again, it looks pretty good, but again, is it really worth that much more than the regular Nissan Z? See if there's some way to make this. Well, their slideshow is rudimentary to say the least. Trying to see if there's a way for me to actually show you it. There you go. It looks okay. Oh, it'd be nice to get a little bit more horsepower. I mean, oh, there you go. You got a nice little picture of it. We get a little interior shot with a stick shift, as all cars should have by default. And it has a good old-fashioned handbrake, which they should all have. I hate the electronic brakes, personally. There's nothing more boring than we're about to park the car. You gotta click the little toggle, like it's a window switch, to activate the parking brake. Which, granted, if it's a stick shift, you may debate you don't have to, you just leave it in first. But, yeah. To me, I like to just be able to quickly jerk the handbrake, and, well, it's also fun for drifting and stuff like that. But, yeah, it's another thing I don't like about modern cars. So, again, they are catering mostly to the enthusiasts, and I appreciate that. Again, they had interviews with Nissan executives and program directors where they say they know their customer base. They know, like they said, that one of the reasons they kept that little e-brake as a good old pull handle is because they knew people were going to have fun with the car. So I do appreciate that. Staying with them, keeping the stick shift, and it looks pretty good. It is a little sad, of course, like many vehicles. There's a lot of carryover parts from the previous generation, being the 370Z, and again, it's a nice twin turbo V6, so pretty good power. And I was gonna say, you get a little extra decals. This is Heritage Edition. But again, I think most of these, I'm not sure how many enthusiasts will really buy it, because again, you get the knee smell, because that's the trim level for the performance. This is the Heritage Edition. I know it's overwhelmingly mostly the cosmetic. It really is all it is. Do you think this will really sell beyond the standard speculators who buy them just as they're speculating it might someday become a really good fiscal investment? Do you think a lot of enthusiasts and passionate drivers will buy this? And again, they say limited. That's another reason I tell people never buy physical products that say limited and treat it like it's an investment. Because again, they're only limited by how many they can sell. I mean, the most hilarious one is when Toyota has like their limited level trim level on some cars, which again, they're the largest automotive manufacturer on the planet. The only limitation is how many they can sell to people. So that's why I always like caution people when they're looking at stuff and go, "Oh, it might be a good investment." I'm like, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. I'm going to give you some free advice. And again, very few things in the world outpace the S&P 500. Again, not financial advice, do whatever you want, but let me know, do you think the design warrants that premium of a price? Do you think this will, I mean, a lot of people, I forget what they call the first, they had the special yellow edition when it first came out too. And I mean, people bought them up and a lot of people enjoyed it. But it is nice to see, another Heritage Edition where you still have the stick shifts. I do appreciate that from Nissan. And they are one of the few little fun sports cars you can get. Now, the only downside and detriment is how much money is the dealership going to mark these up? I mean, one of the reasons the Ford Focus RS failed so epically, and again, that was a great vehicle in terms of all-wheel drive, turbo, stick shift, by default, only stick shift. I love that. And yet, the dealerships marked them up by $10,000 plus for Ford Focus on top of MSRP. They wouldn't let people drive them. I mean, there is also another thing where the dealerships have a huge influence on how successful these cars can be. And again, with the MSRP being 6K over, okay, but what's the dealership going to add on? Would they also include another $5,000 line item, which is a market adjustment? There are a couple local Honda dealerships that still have the audacity to do that in DFW, or Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. And yeah, but I partially digress. Let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the Culture Pride podcast, you have Jack Black, also known as Bowser, endorsing Biden in a viral video, getting about a 50% approval rating and 50% roast, as most things that bleed into politics. The United States is usually about a 50-50 split. Well, with the exception of approval ratings for the U.S. president right now, Biden is historically at an all-time low, though again, there are still plenty of months before the election. Now, this is actually coming from the Biden Wins X Twitter account. Now, I don't know if this is a real account. I do follow it because I want to gain as much perspective and gain. I don't like echo chambers, so I want to try to gain different perspectives and opinions. And hilariously, I'm not sure if they did this on purpose, but an account on Twitter, or X, known as Biden's Wins, has a picture of Joe Biden walking down the stairs of an airplane, and he historically has fallen up the stairs multiple times, which I didn't think was possible, but he's managed to achieve that interesting, not an accolade, more like a blunder, more accurately put. So it's funny they use that as a profile picture. Now, They say, breaking, Jack Black just delivered the strongest endorsement of the President Biden this cycle, and in the process, he'll absolutely demolishes Donald Trump. Retweet so that all Americans see this. I definitely agree. They should retweet this. Every American should see this. Because, interesting enough, hilarious, Jack Black, for those who are just listening, they won't see him visually. He's wearing, what is it, overalls? They're in the overalls in the pattern of the American flag, which ironically, Democrats have acquiesced and said, oh no, that's an evil flag. We don't like it. Not all, but on average, it is fascinating to see the percentage of Americans who are Republican who say the United States flag is good and they have it, and then Democrats who less and less actually agree with that flag and they want alternatives. So even that has become divisive in the past, 4 or 8 years, or even longer than that. So it is hilarious that he's wearing that overalls that many would argue do not represent what currently is a Democratic Party. Now, of course, he's also wearing a T-shirt with the Biden 2024, and it's like a cartoon, and Biden has laser eyes in that, which, again, they're kind of, maybe they're leaning into the meme, because a lot of people like the caricature or the name of Joe Biden, a Dark Brandon. That's a popular, and then actually, this is actually also reposted by the Biden-Harris HQ. How many views did it get there, I wonder?
My manager.
I've got 700, about 700. Got a lot more here. So, got 2.4 million views, and it is a little painful, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it might hurt your earballs a little bit, but we'll get through it together. And, yeah, it's about minute 47. I usually say that your voice is infinitely better than mine. Yeah, that's probably the case this time as well. But, without too much further ado, go ahead and I'll maximize that for the screen. I'll play that right here.
A few days ago, my manager called me and said George Clooney and Julia Roberts wanted me to help out the president and speak here tonight. And I said, I am in. When and where? And thank you. And then they said, Jack, we know how busy you are. You don't have time. Look at all the other events that are happening tonight that you already turned down. MC at the Fliegelman Bat Mitzvah. The opening of the new Jack in the Box in Oxnard. Judge at the 2nd annual Imperial Valley Avocado Festival. You don't see that on Meryl Streep's resume. I said, I know I turned them down, but my president needs me. Thank you. And then they hit me with the big one. They said, Jack, you can't go. You have nothing to wear. Your good suit is in the cleaners. Well, were they wrong? Because I had this to wear. My kick-ass American flag overalls. Most patriotic outfit of all times.
If he wanted to be more representative, he should have worn the Ukrainian flag overalls. Since that's where we spent, what was it, over $150 billion lately?
That shut him up. There wasn't much they could say after that. And when the president wins in November... I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a sweet shout out in his victory speech for what I gave up to be here. Because when democracy is at stake, Jack Black answers the call. Mr. President, you're welcome. That's not the president. That's not Judge. It's a random dude. But I thought it would look better if I talked right to a guy.
Wow. But that's always a cliche term for Democrats, and it's worked historically speaking.
Days ago,
just saying democracy's at stake, almost like they're saying the quiet part out loud, but they seem to do that every time. Nevertheless, they got 2.4 million views and 53,000 likes. Now, will this help him sell more tickets at box office? Probably not, because again, in media, on average, unless you're a political show or more politically inclined, usually you want 100% market share. Not realistic unless you're someone like Microsoft or maybe Apple someday, but on average, you probably want to make comments that aren't controversial and that have the possibility of alienating half the prospective clients out there. Now, that being said, this will help him fit in with Hollywood. He will probably get cast in more roles because of this. So is this a good move for his career in that regard? That's another thing to be taken into account. I'm fast. We have seen less celebrity endorsements this time around with Biden. Most famous, or one of the most recent ones, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said, him and I forgot Taylor Swift already endorsed him. Taylor Swift, who made her whole career about picking the wrong guy, she also endorsed Biden in 2020. Now, I know The Rock, Dwayne, whatever The Rock Johnson is, he really famously did a whole speech about how saying great Kamala and Biden were in 2020, And then, yeah, now a couple of months ago, he said, no, he's not going to endorse them again. And one of the first comments comes from Mark Hamill saying like, because recently X Twitter hid the likes. I got 1.7 thousand likes. What says Fox says, so why would I take political advice from an actor getting 2,000 likes? Which, yes, precisely. I never understood personally Hollywood endorsements of politics or even products. The only thing I could possibly fathom in terms of like an actor or an actress having an endorsement of a product that would make sense if they said, hey, I use this acting coach. You should buy lessons from them. To me, that would make sense. And if they're a good actor or actress, they'd probably be able to sell you on the idea of buying that coach. But I'll never understand, like, a lot of Americans do worship celebrities and they'll listen to them. But I think the first celebrity endorsement I remember when I was a kid, I remember there's a commercial with Ashton Kutcher holding a Nikon camera, and I thought it was the dumbest thing on the planet. It was a commercial for like the newest lens and all the stuff that they have, and I just wondered like, this guy's known for Iowa because he's from Iowa, go Hawks, and he's known for acting. And let's be honest, that '70s show again, he's had some great movies, but he's known for being behind a camera. It's like, to me, that's just stupid. But again, I know it does work for millions of Americans. Elon made me join says, who? Seriously, who does anyone care? And why are people being influenced by who they vote for by rich, privileged, and living very comfortable environment actors? They don't pay bills and feel inflation like the 90% of the population, getting 2.1 thousand likes. Travis Matthews says, my president needs me. Jack Black, Blue Heart, American flag, getting 884 likes. Steve David, Ukrainian flag, Slava, Ukraine, says, let's see, this guy says, well, he's the epitome of cool as Jack Black dancing, got 217 likes. The right before, or right is still right, says 2009, before they needed replacement voters. This is Chuck Schumer.
People who enter the United States without our permission are illegal aliens, and illegal aliens should not be treated the same as people who entered the U.S. legally.
Yeah, they changed their tune very quickly. All of a sudden, got 550 likes for that. Keith Ainsworth said, you're banking on Nacho Libre saving the day, getting 154 likes. Here. Sheepdog Society says, I always follow the words of millionaires that don't feel the brunt of Joe Biden's inflation. Yeah, while they stay rich and the rest of us go poor, it's always good to know that they endorse the man making everyone poor. Getting 125 likes. So Chamber says, that was funny, still voting Trump, still love Jack Black, getting 437 likes. T-Pain, though it's spelled T-E-A, and he says, damn, Jack Black is the man, getting 1,000 likes. Let's see here. Base Chef says, what a tool bag, and there's a bunch of trash. It says, oh look, celebrity opinions, getting 935 likes. No, I'm No Angel says, you're going to need more than Jack Black, and it says, it's a screenshot from Fox News saying Joe Biden's approval rating. That was June 6th to June 10th, 2024. A poll by Marymount University, not seeing says plus or minus, was it 3.8%, not seeing a sample size, but says Joe Biden's job approval rating, approve at 38%, disapprove at 58%. Here. Then you see Bidenomics, you have overall inflation increased 19.3%, food up 21.2%, all shelter costs increased 21.4%, all energy costs increased by 35.6%. That infographic got 398 likes. Leia Meme says Jack promoted the clock shots. No surprise he's to see him simp for Biden once again, getting 418 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Let's see. The Miss Francesca says no one really cares what Shallow Hal thinks. And so someone looking in dumpster says, hey, look, celebrity opinions, getting 1,000 likes. Let's see here. Way back in time, says actor Jack Black, killing it with some Led Zeppelin / Dave Grohl and many more, getting 72 likes. Oh, what was that? Nick says, I see overweight gay man getting 700 likes. Let's see. Here's a positive statement. Armand Health says, no one does it better. Light as a feather, Jack Black, and no lack of support. Drop a heart. If you enjoy my men, Biden and Black Joe and Jack, you guessed it, they have the same initials. Like President Biden, there's no one like Jack Black. I guess there's no one like him. All right, that's got 58 likes. Stacy Buffer says Jack Black has Biden's back. Of course, she has flags in her profile of Canada, Ukraine, and a sunflower. getting 31 likes. Let's see. Brando says, what are Republicans going to do without the support of Nacho Libre? Getting 63 likes. Let's see. Another contrarian statement. Christian House, who says, you guys are the real heroes. American flag, gay flag. Says, thank God we got all of Hollywood endorsing Biden because Trump cannot be allowed to win. Trump loses this November and he's done. There'll be nothing he can do. And he will have the full force of the law coming down on him with no Republicans to protect him. Getting 89 likes. See here. JTT says the trouble with MAGA is that all talented and thoughtful people in Hollywood are pro-democracy. Watching Kid Rock videos from the 90s and Midnight Cowboy on an endless loop might get boring. Getting 2 likes. Oh, the irony. So, say probably about 50-50 split in terms of people who appreciate Jack Black. Well, maybe about 60% disapprove. People who think Jack Black is great. But I don't know. Will this really move the needle? I mean, historically speaking, Democrats get a lot of votes because, again, Hollywood is very much populated by leftists. A lot of Americans worship celebrities. So we're seeing more and more opinions come out where people are starting to ask, well, why do we really care about this? You're just a celebrity. You're not that special. You're just in front of a camera. So will that be a great influence on this upcoming election? In the past, it's been a heavy contributing factor. But let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have another truck burnout on a Pride mural, inconveniently painted on the ground, and of course the police are on it with their priorities. Now this is brought to us thanks to Raw Alerts, saying, quote, police are actively investigating after someone driving a red pickup truck was generating burnouts and left tire marks on the Pride mural after it was installed 3 days ago, which sounds awkward and funny. It should be, you would think once it was painted 3 days ago, installed sounds awkward for a painting, but I digress. They say, quote, currently law enforcement is working on investigating an incident captured on video on Wednesday evening, showing someone driving a red pickup truck doing a burnout and leaving tar marks on the Pride mural and crosswalk in Huntington, West Virginia. This occurred less than 3 days after the crosswalk and mural were installed to celebrate and support the LGBTQ+ community. The police are collaborating with Huntington Pride to repair the damage and have confirmed their awareness of the video. Authorities are reviewing the footage to identify the driver and are asking the public for any additional information to assist in their investigation. Local officials and community leaders have condemned the act. Which, this is a pretty rare video. This is a Ford truck running. I partially jest. But it's only about 33 seconds long. And interestingly enough, I'm not sure, maybe they removed their license plate. That probably would have been prudent, though, of course, illegal. But we'll watch this little burnout here. Something so American about a burnout. Now, the real question is, will the truck be able to drive away? It did! I thought it'd break down in the middle of the street. A little awkward. But they barely did anything. So at least on the first, so go back to the little video here. So in this case, you have many murals. So it looks like the crosswalks are also gay, or they're Pride themed. And in the middle, there's also a giant one. So it's doing a burnout, and it's parallel with these lines. The first burnout, maybe there's two, it kind of looks like it blends in. It looks like they're doing it on the, be more ironic if they did it on the black line. That really wouldn't show up. I think maybe it's the purple one. Is that it? Another angle. Maybe they did the burnout, maybe it carried through the middle? Because again, in the middle, that's even more ridiculous. The street looks like crap. There's cracks and potholes and uneven pavement. And yet, they have resources to paint murals. Which again, is the dumbest place to put a mural. It's the worst place on the planet. Literally, especially in cities, it'll be covered by garbage, and San Francisco will be covered in crap. But, I mean, put it on a wall or a flat. Any other location makes sense to put these. I'm not sure they're just trying to overwhelm people with a message. But, yeah. Literally, the street looks like junk. All those cracks in the cement, or the pavement. Of course, it's uneven as all hell. That's ridiculous. This one pretty viral, got 7.5 million views, as well as 53,000 likes. And this trend is so great that companies like Lime Scooters, or whatever they call a silly scooter rental company, they actually enable their software so you can't drive over those things. So imagine if you're trying to drive to work, the scooter won't work if you go over a mural, which quite concerning to say the least. It's also fascinating how this is considered a felony. So there's a young man facing a felony charge because of a burnout on the street pride mural, and yet you can burn the American flag. That's okay. But if you do a burnout over a pride mural, that is considered a hate crime, which again shows the priorities of the U.S. government. Now, some top comments comes from Paul Zazupa saying, quote, "Would police investigate this if it was a patriotic mural? That tells you everything." No, they wouldn't. That got 6,000 likes. We've seen this many times. In fact, many of the Palestinian protesters desecrated a World War I memorial, and they quite literally spray painted it with, what was it, the Gaza stuff. And yeah, I don't think there's any arrest for that. And they burned an American flag during that protest too. Jonathan says, "What will we ever do?" Getting 6.2 thousand likes. Texas One says kids, getting 51 likes. Got the Eagleman says felony, laugh out loud, getting 151 likes. There we go. What was it? I forget what we call the sketch of the man, but it says it's called free speech, get over it Nazis, and someone who's burning the Bible. Then this same person is crying and angry, says, because they're burning a pride flag, says, "Find out who did this and arrest them." They got 9.4 thousand likes, which again, the unequal application of justice is quite disgusting these days. There should be one rule for all. Now, Livercat Media TM says, "Meanwhile, every other crime is on hold." And this is really trending. It says, "No one has to go along with this weird shit." And along with each one of those words is one of the sexual orientation flags. I only recognize the Pride Progress one and then the trans one. I think one is asexual and bi. There's quite literally a flag for every one of those words. And then they have tire treads over the flags now. I got 4.7 thousand likes. Judy and Broderick says, "Don't they have some real criminals to catch? Good grief." Getting 2.5 thousand likes, which, nope, that's all their priorities. Oh, here's the perfect juxtaposition. Again, if you click the subscribe button, it might help with my stuttering. That's my theory of one of those things. When I first started the show, no subscribers, a lot of stuttering, bad speaking. I know it's not great, but it's been a mock-up of improvement. So if you could click that button, greatly appreciate it, and I think it will help. Now, Donna Marie says, "Charge him with the same crime as the ones on the right," which again mean nothing. On the left, you have teens charged with felonies because they're running over a pride mural, again painted on the ground. And sorry, on the left you have that, and on the right, again, that's called hate speech on text on the screen. On the right, it says protected speech, and you have the Palestinian protests there. They spray on this mural. It says "Free Palestine," "Free Gaza," and of course their handwriting is terrible as well. Here, make this a little bit easier to see. So these teens driving scooters over that flag, the Pride Progress flag, they were charged with felonies. And on the right, these people in the towels, the towel mask things, they were spray painting this. I think it was a World War I memorial. No arrest. Which is, yeah. Wow. And it's sad every day is a reminder of how our country has fallen so far. Again, and then on the right, with the protected speech, where the Palestinian protesters are spray painting memorials, they also have a little smoke bomb, which emits red smoke. Now, if someone on the right were to do that, oh yeah, that'd be an extra charge. That'd be improper use of pyrotechnics. They face a felony, another felony for that. And that got 4.4 thousand likes. Run Dub Libs profile says, "Love it." And it's someone with a little furred, an F1. Well, they all look like F-150s. Unless, to me, that looks like an F-150. It says "Black Lives Matter," and it's a truck doing the burnouts over the Pride Progress flag. Oh, it's a cartoon. That got 8.1 thousand likes. Transodius says, "Forcing taxpayers to pay for murals is government coerced speech," getting 4.3 thousand likes. Red Wave Press says, "When will they learn not to put pride murals in the middle of a street? Most people do not agree with this. Follow if you agree," getting 2,000 likes. Remen T says, "Stop painting your religious symbols on my public streets." It got 4,000 likes. See here. Here's one of the original videos. That's a dually, so I think that's supported 250 to 350. That was really the precipice to all of this. That was the first one that went viral, and now we're seeing more and more trucks do these burnouts, which I would never. Well, I was gonna say I could never do, partially because I have a 2018 Honda Civic Si and it's got as much torque as a lawnmower. So it's quite disappointing when I try to do the burnout. It's futile to say the least. But I still love when I go to the track. Nevertheless, I got 3.4 thousand likes. Let's see, I know this is a real article. No, probably not. So Elon Musk's Citizen Journal parody account says pigeon pooping next. And this looks like to be an article from the Citizens Journal from June 13, 2024, written by Arya Intelli. It says Rainbow Road Rage, leftists' latest arrest wave targets tire marks with pigeon poop. Got 1.1 thousand likes. Arlington says Pride Month, really? It says, call me silly, but sticking your penis in another man's butthole does not merit a special flag or a month-long celebration. Got 725 likes. Let's see. All right, these. Let's see. It says. Tanner Rubicon says lawnmower, utility chest, extended cab, no lift or big tires. This is a regular working class guy. People are sick of this ideology being shoved in their faces. They got 346 likes. So it looks like pretty much everyone is agreeing. For this particular post, it seems like most people are very much in agreement with this type of. I'm not sure how this would be legally classified. If you can make the argument that this would be protected speech in terms of doing a burnout on that type of political flag, or what do you want to call it, the religious ideology, the trans pride flag on the ground. It will be interesting to see what the counter arguments are in court, because again, you're having more and more of these brought before judges, and what type of defense they might be able to think up. But again, putting it on the ground is the most ridiculous thing ever. Quite literally, you're wasting tax dollars because it will get dirty just because it's on the ground. And that they keep doing this in more and more and more cities. So it'll be interesting to see if they ever stop painting stuff on the ground. But let me know in the comments. Have you seen this in your areas? Do you think this trend will continue with trucks doing burnouts on them? As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have the WNBA still on track to lose money, even with Caitlin Clark. This is brought to us thanks to Breitbart. Specifically, pull up the writer here, Warren Todd Hudson. They say, quote, WNBA is still on track to lose $50 million, even with Caitlin Clark bringing in 105% more attendance. Quite literally, that's a huge, astronomical impact. Maybe someday they could make a profit and not have the NBA be their sugar daddy, which, again, they helped start the company or organization. And yeah, they give them a lot of money to subsidize it to keep it afloat. Because again, it's not a viable product, it's not a viable service yet. Could that happen in our lifetime? I think it might be. Maybe. They say the WNBA is reportedly still on track to lose $50 million despite the huge influx of new fans brought into the league thanks to the new star Caitlin Clark. The league has never turned a profit since its inception in 1997. It simply could not exist without the financial support of the NBA. Wow. Now, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has already said in 2018 that the WNBA loses $10 million a year. That means the WNBA loses up to $260 million since 1997. Talk about a negative ROI. And again, it's one of those things where the market just doesn't want it. A lot of people are saying, oh, this is sexist. Or the U.S. market is about 50% women. If every one of them tuned into this show, well, not this show, well, that too, but if every one of them tuned in to watch the WNBA, they would have just as much money, if not more money, than the NBA. Again, most households' budgets are greatly influenced, if not controlled, by the wife of the household. And that's why so many commercials and so many marketing initiatives are taking them into account when they're coming together with marketing campaigns. And yet, they still have never made a profit. Now, they say they're going to make more money thanks to broadcast rights. They say the WNBA is set to receive a windfall for broadcast rights. The NBA, which owns 60% of the WNBA, is currently negotiating the next big broadcast deal with both leagues that could bring in as much as $7 billion a year. The WNBA could reap as much as $200 million a year from those fees. Now, let's see here. Now, Clark is almost double. So they say this is just the fans at games. Well, when Clark is on TV screens, viewership increases as well. In June, Clark's games earned an average of 1.099 million viewers, Games without her averaged 414,000 viewers, which that's 413,998 more than I thought. Like, that's a lot. I thought, like, maybe the parents would come if their schedule would allow it. But, yeah. I mean, will it make a profit? Maybe. Now, I was going to say, I'm pulling up some of the comments here because Breitbart's a little bit interesting, so they have some more of the comments league. Now, they say, quote, Randy says, quote, greatest women basketball cannot save the racist league, getting 41 upvotes and 0 downvotes. Like Baxter responded saying, you nailed it. Their best player is white and they hate her for it, getting 43 upvotes, 1 downvote. Scrolling down to other top comments, you have RU88 saying the WNBA's financial problem has nothing to do with racism and everything to do with the fact that women's basketball is not very entertaining, even with Clark, whose novelty will ebb soon, getting 6 upvotes and 0 downvotes. You also have Wonderkind saying her sex is destroying her victimhood status, or their victimhood status rather, getting 1 upvote, 0 downvotes. Lamb Shank says the woke WNBA is run like other woke and corrupt governments. Both are pathetic, getting 17 upvotes and 0 downvotes. Richard Stroker says, I guess racist, hateful lesbians is not much of a sell, getting 16 upvotes and 0 downvotes. Which, that is another point of pride, pun moderately intended. The WNBA is well over 50% representative by the LGBT community, and that's a big selling point for them as well. And Caitlin Clark is, I don't know famously, but she is known for being both white as well as straight. Not just her hair, but her sexual orientation. I should clarify that. Now, let's see, we've got to be some contrarian comments. Now, granted, this is also from Breitbart, which historically speaking is more of a right-wing news outlet, so I'm not too surprised there's not as many contrarian comments in the comments here. Jason says, no one wants to see a bunch of overpaid entitled racist lesbians bouncing balls, getting 16 upvotes, 0 downvotes. Jay Beam says, typical liberal business venture, getting 12 upvotes and 0 downvotes. Let's see here. Miami Home says, people love Caitlyn, but the racist hate against her by players in the league will drag the viewership down, getting 8 upvotes and 0 downvotes. So Caitlin Clark is probably one of the biggest cultural phenomenons and WNBA phenomenons past couple of decades. I mean, she was one of the greatest players in college, go Hawks, and now she's also doing great in WNBA. Now, could one person really save the league? I mean, they'll never go out of business because the NBA makes billions of dollars, and they can afford to have these pet projects that just make people happy, not necessarily make a profit. Do you think in our lifetime, because again, the needle seems to be moving in the right direction, they seem to be getting more views and making more marketing dollars, and they'll sell a couple more jerseys, but in our lifetime, will the WNBA ever reach the point of profitability? If we keep extrapolating the data, it should. And again, Tiger Woods, I mean, a lot of people attribute him to making golf a fascinating sport that a lot of people started to pick up, enjoy. I mean, everyone I know growing up, I mean, he was the golf player. People started to watch golf because of Tiger Woods at a astronomically higher rate than before. I mean, I know sports ball as the aficionado, and even I know Tiger Woods. I know Tiger Woods, was it Phil Mickelson, and John Daly. Like, I know 3 golf players. That's it. And Tiger Woods is the one. So could Caitlin Clark be the one to get the NBA to profitability? Let me know in the comments because, as always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have Biden freezing on stage and Obama having to guide him off, which, not too surprising. Now, this is first reported thanks to End Wokeness, who says, quote, Biden froze last night and had to be escorted out by Obama. Is this normal? Which, well, yeah, it kind of is. And granted, at least the gentleman did suit up. They did something right. I think 1 or 2 of them might even, no, I was going to say they don't have a tie. Not perfect. Went pretty valid, only about 25 seconds long. Got 3.2 million views. See here. Oh, terrible music. Let's mute that. You got Obama waving to the crowd. Biden's just chilling in the middle with his arms to the side. And Biden just kind of takes him by the hand and kind of pats him on the back and guides him out. Which, and then just kind of walk. I mean, he's not falling. Gotta give some credit there. Oh, he's going to make it off the stage in one piece. There you go! A touchdown! Or sports ball, whatever you want to call it. Went pretty well. Got 3.2 million views and 22,000 likes. Going on down to the top comments. Well, the first one comes from Paul Zupa saying, quote, this is normal for Biden to freeze and get lost. Perhaps he also soiled himself again. It's not funny either. It's elder abuse. Biden should be cared for, and our leader should be stronger. Getting 276 likes. Governor Eagleman says, quote, it's not normal. It's elder abuse. Getting 942 likes. Here we go. We have a contrarian statement right off the bat. Well, not right off the bat, but we have someone suspiciously by the name of Human. Can't help but think he's maybe a computer or an AI bot. Personality might be that. He is known as Human, and then he has the hippie flag or the peace symbol, U.S. flag, Ukrainian flag, American flag again, and then a blue wave emoji. Though the people who do vote blue, I suppose, do appreciate raves, as well as the youth. Now, his profile says he can't spell, apparently, either. Granted, I'm pretty dyslexic myself, so I don't have much ground to stand on. But his profile description is, we are, and he just uses the letter R, our beliefs, exposing lies here, hobby, spending, paid trolls, try to find out, often reply rather than post, proudly follow great minds. And he is followed by many of the people that I follow who are traditionally leftist. And again, more opinions better, makes life a little bit more interesting. He says, nice try, better to vote for someone old and capable than incompetent convicted felon. Here's the lowdown. So it looks like he's going to give us some bullet points for Biden. Now, he says someone old and capable. I mean, I have friends who are Democrats, and they don't think Biden is capable. He was. I mean, just look at his speeches just 8 years ago or 4 years ago. He was much more articulate then than now. I'm not sure how many people are really confident of his capabilities, speaking or otherwise. Now, he said, here's the lowdown. Oh, geez Louise, how many bullet points are there? He wrote a book. All right, let's do the top one or two. Because again, how many likes did he get? He got 60 likes. So again, people appreciate his post or his response. He says, the unemployment soared from a 50-year low of 3.5% in February to 14.4% in April as pandemic forced the business to shut down or scale down. By the end of, oh, wait a minute, jeez please. By the end of Trump's term, the U.S. lost 2.9 million jobs, making the first president since Hoover to end with fewer jobs when it started. Federal pump jumped from 14.4 trillion to 26.1 trillion. The economy shrank by 3.40% in 2020, the steepest decline since 1947, which, again, we know is because of a lab leak funded by the U.S. Well, at least the research was funded by the U.S. because it's illegal to do it here, over in China, or as Trump would say, China. Nevertheless, that did get 60 likes. Planet of Memes responded in meme form today, so I get an A+ for marketing. Usually about a 50-50 split or shot in terms of them actually responding in meme. And it's a spirit Halloween costume, and it says dementia patient. It's a picture of Biden in khakis, or some people call kahikis. And he says includes diaper, stain-proof slacks, and oversized shirt, ice cream cone, and money for Ukraine, getting 38 likes. Right Wave Press says the President of the United States is escorted out by his handler, who is actually running our country, getting 2.1 thousand likes, which... yeah, never forget that famous interview of Obama where he said he'd love to run for a third term, but it's not legal. Then he said he'd love to do it, but he'd want to do it in sweatpants, just, not in the White House. Pretty sure he got his wish. Bill Elmore says, all of a sudden, you see the puppet master pulling the strings, getting 720 likes. Ricky Risky says, Biden is scared of what's coming for him. It's a little video of Trump dancing, getting 367 likes. Josette Carso says, Joe Biden is famous for wandering around aimlessly. And especially from the New York Post, or an article from the New York Post, where it says Biden wandered away at G7 summit before being pulled back by Italian Prime Minister, getting 144 likes. DEL says Joe Biden having to get escorted off the stage by Barack Obama definitely is not normal, yet paid Democrat propagandists will gaslight people, telling people that Joe Biden is okay. Getting 440 likes. Lyle Holt says, meanwhile, Chuck Norris is 84 years old, works out at his home every day, can defeat martial arts opponents half his age, make infomercials, and run multiple successful businesses. It's not his age, it's Alzheimer's, getting 690 likes. Which, yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean, for a lot of, again, age will affect everyone inevitably, but some people are much more than others. I mean, Warren Buffett is probably the only second to Nancy Pelosi's husband. He is the best stock trader in history, and he's pretty articulate, still running Berkshire Hathaway. He's around 90 years old, but even he's slowed down a little bit. Now, you also have Tanner Code saying he's deteriorating so fast right before our eyes. How will he make it through the first debate? Is the biggest question I have, getting 351 likes, which, I mean, they'll certainly make it because the debate is going to be very controlled. I mean, they're going to cut off mics. They are going to have no audience. I think they're going to, and they'll probably give him an upper or some type of, I don't know what you call it, a little fancy booster that'll make him feel good. Going down more and more. He says, Biden freezes again. I'm confused. it was just there. It's Biden at the Juneteenth celebration with everyone dancing around him and him looking like he's just frozen in place. Got 39 likes. Cam Higby says, who is the president? Getting 58 likes. Let's see. M. Johnson says, it's normal for Biden. It's a good thing that the actual president was there to escort Biden out or to be standing there still. Getting 19 likes. Braley Productions says, I almost feel some respect for the way Obama handled that. Getting 77 likes. Let's see. Any contrarian statements here? Not too many. But again, I mean, I think a lot of people are just going to vote. I was going to say for the policies. Let's be honest, for the party. So you have people who are on the left and the right just going to vote for whoever name happens to be by the D or the R, the voting booth. And it'll be interesting to see is, I mean, does this play a factor? Is this like bigger contributing factors as we get closer to election? Because again, we had not quite as much frequency, but we had similar things happening in 2020. And I mean, Biden still won the most votes in history, I'm told. So it'll be interesting to see. Let me know, do you think these pauses and social faux pas are going to hurt Biden in the future? I feel like a lot of the votes are locked in, but let me know in the comments, because as always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Biden saying if he becomes a tyrant, you can't resist because the AR-15 is useless. Which, if it's useless, why do you keep wanting to disarm Americans and take them away? Granted, I wish every American was read history books growing up, because, again, every single time, literally every single time in history, the government taking away guns is always a precursor, always what happens right before the most evil things happen in history, every single time. Now, this is first brought to us thanks to Cleon War on YouTube, and I was going to say text on the screen is a little small for me, but I will persist nevertheless. And he says, while Biden's son was being convicted for illegal possession of a gun, Joe Biden was giving a speech to the largest anti-gun group in the country, and during that speech, Joe Biden says, if we get out of line, there's nothing you can do about it. The line right here solidifies everything that the gun community has been saying about the purpose of the Second Amendment. Joe Biden just admitted that. His message is clear. If you're going to take on the government, you need appropriate arms. Oh, let's see here. Yet here we have the President of the United States, personification of the government, telling us, quote, if we step out of line, there's nothing you can do about it because you don't have the necessary arms, unquote. Then the crowd starts laughing about it. Which, I'm not sure why you would cheer at being disarmed and neutered. That, maybe that's just his average voter base, but Cleon War continues to say, quote, Joe Biden has been in politics his whole life, so he's had a front row seat to watch people in Afghanistan with rifles, flip-flops, and rock-solid ideology take on every major military in the world for decades and still win. Tell me what you think about Joe Biden's comments. Also, because of Father's Day coming up, we have a Pew Pew Father's Day sale, so click the links for him. And here's a nice little... Again, I'm not sure who's in charge of Biden's marketing, but body language is a whole art and study, and I mean, this whole industry and fascinating science behind it. I don't know who's telling Biden that a good body language for speeches is having two fists and just like he's going to try to fight, maybe. And he's at the anti-gunners known as Moms Demand Action, which uneducated voters, I mean, they demand action because they don't know statistics or history books, apparently. Because again, literally every time the government takes away guns, life gets worse and tyranny just takes over. And again, if you actually read the Bill of Rights, what the Founding Fathers wrote and they believed, well, the U.S. civilians should have the exact armament, if not better, than the U.S. government, because the purpose of the Second Amendment is to keep the government in check. Now, he says the AR-15, wouldn't be enough. I mean, I don't think there'll ever be a hot conflict or civil war, partially because Americans on average, are morbidly obese. There's a lot of health issues. They have families and jobs. Again, a lot of people would argue that humans are inherently selfish. Not a lot of people are going to sacrifice literally everything they have for an ideology, for better or worse. So and every state is so interdependent economically, politically. That's why I'm always skeptical when people say, "Oh, get ready." No. And he's saying, what could AR-15? Now that being said, the big thing about conflicts is supply chain, which is why I think every political leader should know how to play Civilization, Age of Empires, or Risk, because again, that kind of teaches you resource allocation, and you gotta know, well, hey, you have people here. Well, what happens when they run out of gear? You're screwed. You lose. So yeah, kind of saying the quiet part out loud. So if anything, this should be proof that you need more armaments. Now, some of the top comments comes from the Unseen Decision saying, Dear Joe, threatening people is the very definition of tyrannical, getting 1.7 thousand likes. David Webb says, if they're useless, what's the point in trying to take them? Getting 1.9 thousand likes. Well, let's see. Funny, or G6 says, funny, he says that all the time. He also says that the group of people with flags and signs almost overturned the government on January 6th. Yeah, they didn't have any guns. The police let them in, actually. The only person to die was when the police shot a gal. Got 88 likes for that comment. What is it? Kogal guy says, I absolutely hate this individual with a passion, getting 147 likes. Bunk Years says that statement alone should be grounds for immediate removal from office, getting 1.7 thousand likes, which, yeah, I can see that. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure he won't be impeached or charged with anything, obviously. Let's see. Tyler says, imagine the level of BS that would be going on if Trump said that. Yep, getting 505 likes. Gerald says, hearing this stuff makes me believe in the Second Amendment. Can't wait to have Trump back. Last 4 years have been unbearable, getting 100 likes. Padron says, so he swore an oath to the Constitution and says there's nothing you can do if he breaks the oath. Getting 60 likes, which, yeah, exactly. Let's see. Are there any contrarian statements? Because again, there are a lot of, I was going to say Americans, there are a lot of individuals in America who think you should not have the right to own any arms, and at least the government should have guns. Again, those people don't know how to read a history book, because, yeah. Let's see. Mr. Rodwick says, it's the third time he's threatened to kill Americans with F-15s, getting 283 likes. Yeah, he said that before. He said, he says, civilians couldn't rise up because they don't have F-15s. Probably should. It'd be awkward. Wouldn't fit in my garage. It'd be a little awkward logistics-wise, and you have to have a pretty penny in your bank account to afford one of them. But nevertheless, that was the point of the Second Amendment. It'll be interesting to see how many Americans really remember that. And it'll be interesting to see if that is one of the big political issues going into the upcoming election. I mean, personally, I think the economy is going to be one of the largest things. The culture war is also a huge contributing factor. You have people being prosecuted differently based on their political affiliation. So I think that's going to be a big topic for the upcoming election. And then, of course, the border, which is basically non-existent thanks to the government ineptitudes. Again, we spent about $150 billion on Ukraine, yet we can't spend a couple billion to actually build our own border. Fascinating, the priorities of the U.S. government. So it'll be interesting, and again, I'm not too surprised. Again, he's a very historically anti-gunner. Basically, guns for him and his crew, but not for you, because that's what tyranny does. But let me know in the comments. Do you think, the people who are pro-gun, they're already going to vote for Trump, even though I know he did ban bump stocks, or thank God the Supreme Court finally got to that case and said it's unconstitutional, voting 6-3, because, again, they had redefinition of machine guns, which was ridiculous to say the least. But at the end of the day, I think the people who are pro-gun are already going to vote for the Republican Party, even though the Republican Party hasn't done much in terms of getting its gun rights throughout the years. They've done a little, but again, very disappointing to say the least. But I think when it comes to the Second Amendment, that those votes are already kind of baked in. Maybe you'll see some libertarian people hear this and think, oh dear God, now I'm finally awake to this. I see that he's quite literally saying, oh yeah, he can do whatever he wants because you can't do anything. Also, you can't have an AR-15. Which is the most popular rifle in the United States, with well over 50% of all new rifles sold being of the AR-15 pattern. First, because it's an ingenious design of Eugene Stoner, partially because the patent has been expired, so anyone with their proper licensing and machinery can make them for sale. Or if your state allows it, like all freedom states do, you can manufacture it for yourself as long as you don't sell it. Then you need a manufacturer license. Again, not legal advice. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have a Ford diesel with no emissions. That's okay for the government, but not for you. Which, again, rules for thee, but not for me. Yet again, which the EPA is actually working on destroying the automotive community. The reason more and more EVs are being pushed out in the United States is because of these EV mandates and tailpipe emissions, which are de facto bans on internal combustion engines, forcing people to buy EVs, which are more expensive, more complex, and of course can only be fixed by one manufacturer, the original OEM. Now, this was thanks to Emmett White, and they say, quote, the U.S. military's diesel-powered trucks don't bother with emissions equipment. No DFP or EGR for the United States Air Force F-350s, which are both additive crap that actually make your engines less reliable, and according to a couple of mechanics that I've spoken to, actually gums up the valves in the engines. But it's better for the environment, but also makes your truck disposable. Which is why most of the quote-unquote modern trucks are not as durable, even the diesels, as previous older generations. And you have a picture of the good old F-350. See, trying to get to, where's a good end? That's good engine. Oh, there's a good picture of it on the side paneling here. That's a cool looking engine. Stick with that for New York Minute here. This is again published by Emmett White over at Road and Track. And they say, quote, military vehicles need to be able to run under some of the perhaps toughest, most mechanically stressful situations on the planet. Reliability is more than just a desire. It's a necessity to keep the nation safe. It applies to both custom-made military vehicles and to the versions of civilian ones used by branches of the armed forces. In other words, the U.S. military pickup trucks run differently than your average road-going models, even if they appear at first glance to be the same. Let's see here. The TikTok we have to click. Check this out really quick. I don't have the TikTok. Sound like viruses. Let's see. I guess it allows you to do a pop-up, so it doesn't actually have to download the app. Let's see. On this here. Hopefully you don't get bombarded.
2019 F350 6-zone power stroke, and this truck is special not only because it belongs to the U.S. Air Force, but also, y'all see it yet? Factory delete plates from Ford. This thing has 0 emissions. Not only does it not have an EGR, look at this thing. No DPF, nothing. But in 6.7 power stroke fashion, this thing is leaking oil, and the reason it's here is to get that oil pan fixed, because the Air Force cannot put this truck into a cargo plane if it's leaking oil. So we're gonna get that taken care of for them and get this baby back on the road, or should I say, back in the air.
That went pretty viral. Let me see if I can have the statistics easily shown here. And I got, wow, 1,974 comments. The first one comes from Patriot25 saying rules for thee, but not for me, getting 13.2 thousand likes. Fanta says install the DPF and EGR since it's missing, getting 6,549 likes. Cody says not even the government wants emissions, getting 3,489 likes. See here. Tanner O'Grady says install the equipment and tell them you cannot in good faith violate EPA law by working on a deleted diesel. Getting 2,159 likes, which, yep. Because again, if you try to register your car and if you try to drive like that, oh yeah, you'll get slapped with a fine. You'll say your car isn't roadworthy. And yet the government gets to do whatever they want, as usual. So not too surprising to see, because again, we've known, one of those things where we've known about this for years was kind of, because again, very few people actually get to see and work on these vehicles. It's neat to actually see one go viral on social media and more and more people awakening to the fact that, oh yeah, the government, it's okay. They can do whatever they want. As always. Now, will this get anyone to vote differently or get the EPA to back off on destroying American businesses? No, probably not, unfortunately, with the current administration, the current kind of lineup we have legally these days. I mean, maybe, hopefully someday soon, we'll get the Supreme Court to take on Chevron and deference, which is why so many of these government organizations keep growing like a weed and regulating everything, even though we never voted for it. But not too surprised. Have you ever seen one of these instances? Do you ever have any of your mechanical friends who worked on government vehicles, and are you surprised? And do you think they should have to bastardize to make their vehicles less reliable like they make all of us do? Let me know in the comments, as always. It'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Toyota to recall 13,000 Crown vehicles because, well, they have a little bit of a tech issue with the cameras breaking. This was brought to us first thanks to WRAL News, which they say, quote, Toyota recalls 13,000 cars over a camera defect that increases the risk of hitting pedestrians. Specifically, it looks like they're recalling 13,000 other 2023 Crown vehicles because of a camera defect, which, car looks okay because of the kind of the body aesthetics that you can see on the screen there. Now, they say the automaker says that the front and rear camera cases can allow water to get in, causing the cameras to malfunction, which, come on, if Toyota, largest, usually known as the most reliable cars on the planet, especially the ones like that are, internal combustion engines like the Corolla, those things will last, 500,000 miles or more. And again, I know there's a 99.99% chance they're not manufacturing these cameras, because again, these cameras, the rear cameras are also mandated by the government saying you have to have them. And there's a lot of components that are shared across pretty much every automotive manufacturer uses things made by Bosch Tech. And there's a lot of sharing between cars. I mean, the biggest recall ever, which bankrupted the company, was Takata airbags, which, spoiler alert, pretty much every car had the same airbag under the nice leather or whatever kind of plastic cover they put on. Now, in this case, I'm not sure who's testing the cameras, or because again, most car makers will put these vehicles through testing environments where they'll artificially simulate things like wind as well as rain and inopportune climates. Although I don't think any of them actually drive the cars through Detroit. That would be the ultimate durability test if you can actually survive that environment. Though their insurance companies would probably not allow that because, again, there's a high propensity they would be robbed or stabbed. Now, they say, quote, the concern is over the rear view camera being disrupted could increase the risk of drivers striking pedestrians. Toyota said it would contact owners of the affected vehicles mid-August, or just tune into the show since we're usually 2 to 3 months ahead of those notification letters. And I would say I'm arguably more entertaining than a little piece of paper you'll get from the auto manufacturer in the mail. Maybe just a bit. Now, the company said dealers will repair the affected cameras or replace them if necessary for free, which, again, it's always free to the consumer, not great for shareholders of Toyota, and it's also not great. Well, it's also not great for the dealerships because the dealerships, I mean, things that fall under warranty or all these type of work, that type of work is paid much less than standard out of warranty work that they would do on a normal car and a normal service work. So this is a discounted rate that they have with the manufacturer. So they're not going to be happy about this because they could be working on more profitable things. And the consumer, depending on your preference and how long you want to keep this car at the dealership or how long it takes them to install these, maybe it's a couple hours, maybe it's a day, maybe it's a week, and depending on resource allocation of the dealership, they may or may not have a loaner for you, which again, that's more friction, that's more of a pain. You have to worry about using something like a stranger picking you up with Uber or Lyft or one of those apps, or having a family member pick you up. So definitely not good news in terms of reliability, Toyota, and definitely not good for the owner experience. And again, I'm not sure who's in charge of the quality assurance department. They seem to be letting a lot of things slip by these days. So having to recall about 13,000 of your vehicles because the cameras have a propensity of breaking, I gotta say, Toyota, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.